So here is the latest on Georgina Rodriquez and the proposal of her boyfriend, Ronaldo. And also, it's my 41st birthday, so I just had it, therefore I don't have much content as I'm celebrating getting older as your middle-aged auntie. So there's this creator, the Black Cat Academy, that is an unmarried lady. I don't recommend following her advice. And she says that this Georgina Rodriguez is a black cat. I know so many ladies who got hurt by the Black Cat Academy advice. Ladies, please get advice from married older women, especially in their 40s, like myself, or at least she's married 3 years. Failing that, at least she's autistic, because autistic women are more disagreeable than women who are neurotypical, and elite gentlemen are more disagreeable than average gentlemen, so at least we know something. Lauren Sanchez does use neurodivergent baddie tactics, so I mean, if you will listen to someone, please let it be autistic. Now, here is the problem with listening to neurotypical unmarried young ladies. The strength of neurotypical ladies in friendship and the office is their weakness in dating, and that's conformity, groupthink, right? Whereas neurodivergent baddies, what we do is we look at things and think, what's in it for me? We think critically. Now, elite ladies who are neurodivergent, we're taught social skills and manners, and elite neurotypical ladies are taught critical thinking, so there's not much of a gap between us, right? It's much more even. But in the middle class, you'll see a large gap, that neurotypical ladies are often very groupthink, conformist, and get in trouble. Whereas elite ladies are very much, they'll have critical thinking, so there's not much of a gap, right? And this is the problem, because so many ladies on TikTok who are giving advice are escorts. And then they have the coolest advice, the best visuals, because they throw the money from escorting. And therefore, all the other ladies, they repeat escort tactics, sugar mixed with vanilla, and they get in trouble. So the Black Cat Academy says that Georgina is a black cat. So what's the problem with this and the problem with the theory? So I always say you should be a spoiled, happy cat and not a happy puppy. Because, with autism, right, one of the problem social skills is we're taught we need to curb our enthusiasm. Because so often we're excited genuinely about something and are too enthusiastic and scare people, right? You're too into someone, too attracted, you repel them, right? So you need the spoiled, happy cat energy, right? But what this Black Cat Academy teaches is that you need to be manipulative, black cat energy, and chase men who are simps and golden retrievers, but then you will lose your attraction to them, so it doesn't really work. But that's the theory, and the idea is that you should exploit the simp, and it just does not work. It's not a theory that works in real life, and her tips are toxic, and I've known some ladies who fumbled amazing gentlemen because of her advice, and she herself is unmarried, so please don't listen to that.
I know you guys love to talk about black cat energy, and it's a popular hot topic. And I've been giving it some thought, because as a matchmaker, I know what men do right and wrong. I know what works for them. I know what women do right and wrong. So I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'm going to give you the scoop on it. Here's what I really think about black cat energy. When it comes to black cat energy, it only works if you first have leading lady energy. Because just trying to have black cat energy, if you're not a leading lady, will never work. If you're just a regular old gal trying to pull off the black cat energy, you're going to fall flat on your face. Why? Because if you're not exceptional, if you're not already carrying yourself like a leading lady, then you can't try to play those games with black cat energy. And there's more. Somebody did a video recently talking about how Amal Clooney had black cat energy and she got George Clooney. Except this. George Clooney is no golden retriever. Therefore, he would never fall for black cat energy. That would not work. However, he is a leading man. So guess what worked on him? Leading lady energy. And if you have leading lady energy, then you don't need black cat energy. To me, at least as I interpret it, black cat energy is a bit more manipulative, game playing. I'd rather you ladies lift yourselves up to where you didn't have to play those games, where you are just such a leveled up, badass magnet that you're shining in every way and bringing just that leading lady energy that men cannot resist. And then you don't have to play the games because, again, you can never pull off black cat energy if you are not already bringing leading lady energy. And if you're bringing leading lady energy, you don't need the black cat bullshit.
So her idea is that Ronaldo is a simp, which is a joke. So, is Georgina Rodriquez an empowered woman? As she says, absolutely not. She says, well, it's better than married women. She gets an allowance, etc., etc. No. I know these stay-at-home girlfriends who it took years and years to propose, and then how did they get the proposal? All of them got it the same way. He moved to Saudi Arabia, he moved to an Arab country, and there was so much pressure. What do you hate? Your woman? Then break up with her. If you love her, then why don't you marry her? So with this inordinate pressure, they do get engaged, they get married, because in the culture they're like, if you love her, then why not marry her? And especially what? You hate your children, you hate the mother of your children, right? There is a lot of pressure in Middle Eastern cultures because we don't understand the mixed signal. You love someone, but you don't want to propose. You're playing games, you're dishonest. How can I trust you in business, etc.? So that's why Ronaldo felt the pressure to propose and did so. So stay-at-home girlfriends who are affluent that I knew, the money you get used to, and that you notice, does he love me, does he not? Those mixed signals for years mentally destabilize women. One of my friends was a parking spot which is what Georgina is, right? She was a parking spot for an elite gentleman, and, he paid her an allowance, they had elaborate trips and gifts. Eventually, with money, you get used to it, but you don't get used to the, mentally destabilizing, does he love me, does he not? If he loves me, why didn't he propose? Because you're a bloody parking spot, right? It's not fun to be this parking spot instead of the dream girl that you're with him for many years until he finds better. And Ronaldo could not find better, right? Because Paris Hilton went out with him and said he's a mama's boy. With Irina Shayk, he made an excuse, but he demanded her to quit her work engagement, right? And fly in, break her contract for his mother's birthday. And they're not even married. So she's like, well, I do have to continue working because, there's no stable arrangement between us. What even are we? And he said, you know what? He's just too much of a career woman. Well, if you want her to be a stay-at-home mother, bloody propose and marry her. He wanted wife benefits without giving her a wedding ring. And that's what happened to Irina Shayk because of his horrible mother. No one is good enough for Ronaldo's mother. So as a result, no high-value woman wants him at the level of Ronaldo. So the only woman who accepted him was a shop girl. That is his level. Ronaldo's level is not Paris Hilton, is not supermodel, is not anyone in high society with the same fame as him, or whose beauty is equal to his fame or has the same money, etc. So he cannot get anyone at his level because in elite circles he's considered a low value gentleman because he is a mama's boy, and just affluent ladies won't put up with his antics. They won't. They will not put up with his mother because with his family you marry the mother, and who wants that? Only Georgina was desperate enough because she went from being a poor shop assistant to a millionaire life. She got pregnant almost immediately. So don't tell me she's an empowered woman, that she got pregnant, a few months of dating, right? And then she just assumed wife duties, of course, negotiated an allowance and all this thing. But she just... So here's another piece of advice. Don't also follow those princess treatment TikToks by young girls. Because what happens essentially, right, is that it's the blind leading the blind, and especially if they're neurotypical. What does that mean? It means they're conformist, right? And so on top of being conformist, what happens there? Many escorts, once they are aged out of finessing gentlemen, it's their time to finesse ladies, right? And they mix escorting advice with how to date a high value gentleman, etc., mixing sugar with vanilla. So that's why these girlies have problems. Like one of them, I thought she was brown. I had no idea. So, she looked like a Slavic girl with a tan. She's apparently black. Then when I really zoomed into her nose, oh, she's black. I didn't know. Okay? Sorry. But, she is lighter skinned, white passing black, which is important for the story. And she said, what? The reason why it's not working for her is because this Russian brown doll is dark skinned. And, it's like me saying, oh, because I am a mixed race, darker skinned woman of color, or lighter skinned woman of color, whatever, because I'm mixed race and I'm Arab, that's why I have a difficult time. I'm sorry, that's a cop-out. In her case, so she was giving advice like asking gentlemen to pay for your Uber. Well, this is seen as an escort tell. Also shopping trips. And she said, oh, and wait until marriage, but don't tell the gentleman that you don't know when he'll get late, right? If you're traditional, you're upfront. You're saying, I'm traditional, I'm waiting until marriage, engagement, 3 months, or whatever. So you just say upfront, that's a princess. Princesses say what they want upfront. Only low-value women don't tell what their deal is. And if a princess wants a hookup or sugar arrangement, she'll say upfront, right? Because for elite people, the number one important quality for us is time. We don't want our time wasted. So you cannot act like a peasant by not saying what you want up front and then expect to be treated like a princess. So basically she wanted, fancy dinner dates, shopping trips, and Uber paid for. And for elite gentlemen, they mistake this for an escort. And she wondered why after a few dates she would get ghosted, and she attributed it to race. No. So what my mother taught me is the first date, it should be a cappuccino. So this is real princess treatment advice, by the way. She went out with super high value gentlemen. So you are responsible for your own transportation and you go during the day. You are not, within the first couple months of dating, to go on any shopping trips or accept any expensive gifts, because that gentleman thinks you're an escort if you do. The exception is after a month, if it's your birthday, that's one thing. But taking you on a shopping trip, within the first couple months of dating, he assumes you are floozy, okay? When people have money, it's actually an insult, or offers to fly you out on a vacation and you just got to know each other. That is considered an insult in high society, okay? So elite ladies play the long game, right? It's different. And desperate young women, how would I know if I cannot test his generosity immediately? Well, then go escorting, right? If you're that desperate, that's where you go. But if you're playing the long game, it does need patience. So that's why if you act like an escort, but then you want a biblical marriage, it's contradictory. Pick a lane. So when the gentlemen who were, you act like an escort, demanding an Uber, you say yes to shopping trips, and you're just seeing him, and then within a month you don't put out, he thinks, oh, so you're not a sugar babe. You're confused. He doesn't need you. That's what's going on. It's not a race thing. Then, if you don't present as a traditional lady from the beginning who is looking for marriage from a traditional family, then traditional men don't want you, right? They might have fun and, see if you'll put out, and if not, they're on their merry way, right? That's why you don't listen to young girls until they got married and stayed married for a couple years. Because many of these neurotypical ladies, they will just follow the herd without asking, why are these women saying this? What is their background? Because elite ladies, even neurotypical, are taught critical thinking and discernment. And the elite ladies are taught, okay, I must think, how did this happen? Why are these women there? What is their background before I parrot them? And that's why elite ladies, both neurotypical and autistic, stay out of trouble, okay? Autistic ladies often stay out of trouble because they know not to follow the herd and have some discernment. So ladies, please don't follow the herd, don't be sheep, think for yourself, for your best interests. And when it comes to young women worshipping, Georgina Rodriquez, ask yourself, would you like to be in their position, right? Because you cannot teach what you don't know. So please like or absolutely hate, share and subscribe. Ciao!